Whilst Alessandra walked the gardens with Edgar's uncle, the Duke found himself rudely interrupted by another family member. "Your Grace, your mother is here," Alfred announced, knocking on the door of Edgar's office. "Send her away," Edgar replied, his voice weary. As it stood, he had little information about the girls who had gone missing in the area, and after delaying his work to spend time with Alessandra, he was behind schedule for the day's tasks. "Is that how you greet your mother, Edgar?" Priscilla entered without waiting for permission, ignoring Alfred's attempt to suggest she return another time. "I travelled for hours to be here for breakfast, and this is how you treat me. I raised you better than this." "You didn't raise me, Mother. Alfred and the nannies took on that task," Edgar muttered, not bothering to lift his gaze from the papers. "I am too busy to entertain anything you have to say. Alfred, please escort her out." "You will do no such thing," Priscilla snapped. "We have much to discuss. Do you care to explain why you married that woman in the dead of night?" "No," Edgar answered flatly. This was exactly why he had suggested leaving, to avoid the headaches his mother always caused. "Good morning, Edgar," Heather greeted, making her presence known. "Why did you bring her here, Mother?" Edgar sighed, finally looking up at the two intruders. "Why wouldn't I? Heather has kept me company so I wouldn't lose my wits from boredom. Do you have any idea how embarrassing it was for her to hear you had wed when I had promised the two of you would marry each other? Don't you care for her reputation?" "That's why I told you to mind your business, Mother," Edgar retorted sharply. "I never entertained the idea of being with Heather. Even if I had not married recently, there would be no chance for her. It's you who doesn't care about her reputation. Now please leave. Our conversation is over." He set the papers aside and stood, needing to find Alessandra before his mother had a chance to speak with her. "I am not leaving," Priscilla said, firmly planting herself. "I convinced your uncle to stay here with me until winter, and we both wish to meet the woman who has taken our family's title. I did not approve of her, and you know it, so I expect you to send her away and marry Heather instead," she suggested, hoping to sway him. "What on earth made you marry a woman with such an unpleasant face?" "I should ask what made her marry a man whose mother possesses such a vile attitude," Edgar shot back, his voice icy. "You've never even seen her face to speak of it. I'm warning you, Mother, do not speak ill of Alessandra in her presence, or I will deal with you firmly, and not even my uncle will stop me." Heather, standing silently, struggled not to show her discomfort at Edgar's defense of his new wife. She knew at that moment that he was deeply in love, and nothing could change that. It was time for Priscilla to realize the truth. Priscilla scoffed at her son's words, the sting of his defiance cutting deep. She was tempted him, but refrained, knowing it would only make matters worse. "Heather has always been the right choice. She has spent her life preparing for the role as Duchess of Lockwood, but now some woman with a scandalous reputation has taken it. When will you see Heather as a woman?" "Do you think I've been viewing her as a man all this time?" Edgar asked sarcastically. "I have two good eyes, but the fact remains I am now a married man, and that is the end of it. Do not ever bring up Heather again. The day I take an interest in her will be the day fish fall from the sky. Leave," he said, directing his words solely at Heather. Priscilla's grip on Heather's hand tightened, unwilling to let the young woman leave. "She is not going anywhere. I am her guardian, and she will go where I go." "Fine by me, as I want both of you gone," Edgar muttered. "I'm trying very hard not to be rude, but I will not stand by and let you mistreat my wife. Accept the fact that I'm married and leave." Edgar walked past his mother, Heather, and Alfred, heading out to find Alessandra. "I will ruin her," Priscilla hissed, her voice laced with venom. "I will not have that cursed girl as my daughter-in-law. I will only accept Heather as your wife." "If you try anything with Alessandra, you will lose your only child," Edgar replied, his voice cold as he continued walking. "You did this," Priscilla glared at Alfred, her words biting. It angered her that the butler had raised Edgar. She had been deeply involved in his life, spending countless years searching for the perfect wife to provide her with grandchildren. Yet the credit for the man he became always seemed to go to Alfred. "You turned him against me." Alfred remained silent, not responding to Priscilla's accusations. He had never spoken ill of her to Edgar, nor did he want to. He knew that the Duke was more perceptive than Priscilla gave him credit for. He had made his own judgments, and Alfred could not intervene. He was merely the butler. He also knew his place in the household, and he would remain quiet while Priscilla plotted her next move. As Priscilla fumed, her thoughts swirling with ways to remove Alfred from Edgar's side, he could only hope that she would fail in her attempts to separate him from Alessandra. "Are we leaving, Lady Collins?" Heather's voice broke through the tension, her words hesitant. "Have you not been paying attention?" Priscilla snapped, her patience wearing thin. "We are not going anywhere until I meet the woman who has ensnared my son. Had I remained at Lockwood, I could have stopped this ridiculous union. We must follow Edgar, now." "Edgar, do not walk away from your mother. I have every right to be involved in deciding who becomes the mistress of this estate. Edgar!" Priscilla called after her son, hurrying to catch up, but Edgar did not slow his pace. "This boy will be the death of me. Hurry before we lose him, Heather." Heather followed closely behind Priscilla, reluctant but unable to resist. When will this end? She wondered. Why was she being dragged further into Priscilla's desperate attempts to control Edgar's marriage? "I have no desire to chase after a married man, yet I cannot defy Priscilla." The woman made it impossible for Heather to move on and seek another suitor. Why couldn't everyone simply accept that Edgar was now wed and indifferent to their opinions? Edgar rolled his eyes, already exasperated, though his mother had only been present for mere minutes. He was being unreasonably generous by not having her removed from the estate immediately, but first he needed to locate someone other than Alessandra. His uncle would never have allowed his mother to travel alone, which meant he was lurking somewhere. But Edgar wanted them both gone. They could remain in Lockwood past winter if they pleased, but he would not tolerate his mother in his home while she openly disrespected his wife. He refused to be like Desmond, who had stood idly by while others mistreated his daughter. "Where is the Duchess?" Edgar stopped a passing maid, noting he had not seen Alessandra since leaving their chambers.
"At last I saw, Your Grace. The Duchess had gone outside to walk the grounds."
"Very well, carry on," Edgar said, turning toward the gardens. If Alessandra was outside, there was a chance she had encountered his Uncle Percy. The man had an irritating habit of fleeing to the gardens whenever he visited.
Wait, that's not the end. You've just had a free taste. Now get the full story on the Pocket FM app, link in description. Check out our next video and playlist, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.